Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here for wearechange.org, and there is a ton of news going on today. From Alex Jones and Mike Adams, the health ranger, calling for martial law in America, to the beginning of the sentencing of Bill Cosby, and of course, the massive influx of accusations against Kavanaugh in just a 24-hour period. We're going to be going over all of that and more in just a moment. But I want to remind everybody out there that we are a truly independent news organization because of you guys. Without your support, We Are Change does not exist. So please consider going to the donate page, possibly becoming a Patreon, or just hitting the join button under this video for only $4.99 a month. Now, I was in utter shock when I saw that Alex Jones, although ever lightly treading, was calling for martial law in America and saying that Trump had to do this and had to have mass arrests and military tribunals because of what was going on. He then went on to state that we were already under a shadow government or deep state COG, that's continuity of government type system. And with that, I completely agree. In fact, in my film Fabled Enemies, which was produced by Alex Jones, we went over the rapid revamping of the COG or shadow government under the Reagan administration, with people like Dick Cheney at the helm.
To reduce the possibility of decapitation, the National Program Office was directed to create a new program to assure the continuity of government. It was known as the Presidential Successor Support System, or PSQ. Dick Cheney, Edwin Meese, Tip O'Neill, and Dick Thornburgh all have been in the line of succession by virtue of their offices, but our sources say the NPO gave them additional responsibilities under the new system.
However, Jones completely ignored this type of information and instead focused on Obama. And then today, with Mike Adams, I just couldn't believe what was being said. They literally said that Obama was running these deep state operations. Anybody that has been following his career knows he is nothing more than a mouthpiece, a puppet, a tool of the establishment and military-industrial complex. He has nothing to do with actual operations and running of policy whatsoever. He may have inked some signatures on executive orders, but in my mind, there's no reason that we would declare martial law because of this. For instance, if Trump is not even able to come up big on the promise that he would declassify the JFK files, not once, but twice, and he couldn't have an executive order doing that, how would he be able to declare martial law in a just manner? This is insanity, folks. Now, that is not to say that Robert Mueller is not a criminal, but if there was ever a time for military tribunals, wouldn't it have been after 9/11, after we realized we had been lied to, after the investigations were an utter farce in the public, when they named Henry Kissinger as the initial head of that investigation? These are just some of the problems I have with the idea that somehow Trump would be a savior with martial law. This is straight out of the pages of QAnon on 4chan message boards, and quite frankly, folks, I find it obscene and I find it extremely disturbing. And although we do know that Rod Rosenstein literally said that he thought about wearing a wire and recording the conversations he had with Trump, he even discussed the 25th Amendment, getting Trump out of office. All of this is a reality. So earlier on Monday, it was reported that Rosenstein had actually resigned instead of getting fired by Trump. In fact, they said he handed his resignation in to John Kelly. Well, by the middle of the day, it was reported that Rosenstein had met with Trump and that he would be at a cabinet meeting later in the week. In fact, not resigning whatsoever. And this is after people like Schiff were on the news claiming that not only did he not need to resign, but he needed to fight tooth and nail against the president. And obviously, this is insanity. It has now been 1 week since President Trump said he would declassify without redactions the original FISA warrant. Emails of James Comey, McCabe, more of Stork and Page, as well as their text messages. And folks, we have yet to see any of that, with a huge pushback by the Department of Justice doing redactions anyway. So yes, is there an issue here? Absolutely. Is martial law the answer? No, it's not. And of course, that brings us to Kavanaugh. On Sunday evening, we heard of a second and then third accuser, and now we learn there may actually be a fourth accuser against Brett Kavanaugh. But what are they accusing him of? Well, so far, we have 2 instances of over 30 years ago that do not involve intercourse. In fact, the first one was a claim that at a party with 2 other men in the room, he held a woman down and tried to put his hand over her mouth, but she escaped. Now, this was at a high school party when Kavanaugh was supposedly 17. There is nobody who has been able to back up this story. However, she is still going to be heard at a congressional hearing. And that's fine. We're not trying to trivialize sexual abuse here. But again, this is a high school party. There is no intercourse, and she's just remembering it now. Not to mention the representation by lawyers are all anti-Trump people. That is an obvious problem. And if you look at one of the accusers that is supposedly going to be coming forward later this week, she is going to be represented by the same lawyer that represented Stormy Daniels, the porn star that had consensual sex with the president, got paid not to talk about it, decided to talk about it anyway, and now wants the president actually charged and impeached for campaign finance violations. Talk about insanity. And this is the truth. Now, what is this latest allegation that we know about? Well, it includes something out of a freshman dorm room party where it took 6 days of carefully assessing these memories to even say what happened was with Kavanaugh. And folks, this was not something where he was making out with someone and tried to take it too far. In fact, this wasn't really much of a sexual nature at all, if it occurred. Apparently at a drunken party, he had his pants off and was running around, and this woman is claiming that his penis made contact with her face without her permission. You can't make this stuff up. And who knows what the other allegations will be, but I have to say, the ones that have come out right now do not pass the smell test, nor would they make me reconsider this man for the Supreme Court justice. Now, again, this guy has ties to a lot of bad people. I'm not saying I'm for his policies. I'm saying there seems to be little to no merit of these accusations whatsoever. And that brings us to the question as to why Democrats refuse to talk about Keith Ellison. There does seem to be substance here in the claims of abuse against women. And the woman that they brought on Fox News, actually a Democrat, said, yes, there does seem to be problems with this. Ellison, who's a congressman out of Minnesota, is also a high-ranking member of the party. And she even questioned whether his prominence has shielded him from criticism. And I think that this is a valid one. This is a valid question. Why is it we're so maliciously going after Kavanaugh when there seems to be little to no evidence of anything occurring, yet with Keith Ellison, we just believe his accounts and refuse to listen to the victims whatsoever? Why the double standard? And that brings us to what may be the final chapter in the Bill Cosby saga, as today sentencing began and it should wrap up by Tuesday. Now, he faces up to 30 years in prison, which of course would be a death sentence for a man of that age. However, there are some media outlets out there that are saying that he would do 3 years for these rapes. Now, of course, this is yet to be seen, but we have seen in the past that celebrities and people with power and money are often treated unfairly and given lighter sentences in our judicial system. It's happened time and time again. And we can only hope that this sentencing is indeed fair and that Cosby finally faces the justice that he deserves. As always, folks, if you like this video, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Make sure you ring the bell for notifications or you won't see it when we drop new videos. But most importantly, be the change you want to see in the world.